morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to welcome you to JW Marriott Nairobi, and we are glad to be hosting you. Quick one, housekeeping. I'm taking you through the safety procedure in case we face any emergency. In case of an emergency, we will sound an alarm followed by the audio. The audio will inform us the kind of emergency we are facing, and the evacuation we are likely to activate. For example, if it's a fire emergency, all of us will evacuate to the nearest safe fire escape routes. And from this room, all these doors are escape routes, including this one. Behind here, we have 4 stairwells that will lead us to ground floor. At the far end, we have 3, a total of 7, that will lead us to ground floor. We will exit at ground floor and go out towards the back of the house, which is Westland Road. That's where our fire assembly point is. In case any of us feels unwell, we have hotel nurse within the property who will handle primary medical emergencies, and any emergency beyond hotel nurse will be handled by Mpisha, which is less than 1 kilometer away from here, and Aga Khan outpatient is 500 meters from the hotel main entrance. Thank you so much. Allow me to welcome any clarification or question. This silence means there is none. Thank you so much. Enjoy your deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. Ushers, I hope you're still bringing people in, because these people inside here are still wondering who we are. We haven't introduced, they're still wondering. Ushers, kindly help us hurry the other guys up. Hi, Frank.
So, quick one. How did you get into Bitcoin?
I started from the ghetto. I started from the other side. I was taught by a developer. So one thing about developers, they're not educators. They are not, okay? They are not. They need someone with a higher understanding of what Bitcoin is for them to have a conversation. So I was drawn into every event. That means every crypto event. I was drawn in there. I started there and I was just swimming. Then I found a lady somewhere in this, just one of the conferences. I found a lady and she told me, hi, there's a lady teaching about Bitcoin. Are you interested? And she's only teaching females. And yeah, sign me up for that. Sign me up for that. So I got into Bitcoin in 2022, October. I was taught at Bitcoin Dada, the prestigious Bitcoin Dada. So I am Dada's high. Yay, I'm an alumni of Bitcoin Dada, cohort 2. And now my Bitcoin journey has gone to my hair.
That's really fascinating, because even for me personally, I was taught about Bitcoin in 2016 by a developer. But since they're not educators, it took me almost a year before I could even grasp what Bitcoin is and how it operates. And, you know, back then in 2016, the information wasn't as readily available as it is now. Most of it was very technical. You know, even setting up a wallet and all that. We hardly had, you know, exchanges and whatnot. Took me a while, but I remember one notable thing that he kept mentioning while he was telling me about Bitcoin is just buy bits of it, you know, sort of what now we refer to as DCA, dollar cost averaging. So it's been a very interesting, fascinating journey, and we are happy to be here. Very fascinated to be hosting the conference in Kenya. So most welcome to everyone, and we just hope that you're going to have a very engaging conversation, networking, and of course, opportunities to grow the ecosystem further.
Thank you, Frank. Guys, I've not given permission to tell your Bitcoin stories yet. You shall tell them, remember, at 11:30. So now, Frank, give us a proper introduction. Who are you? Because they are all wondering. Kindly introduce yourself.
All right. My name is Frank Dare. I run Bitcoin.ag, which is a Bitcoin-focused gaming platform. I have a little bit of a history in the ecosystem. I started out running, I think, the very first blockchain company in East Africa. It's called Bitsoko. Over the years, we've pretty much worked towards educating and building the community in the continent. I could go into detail, but I'm going to give that to the speakers whose time we are here for today. But pretty much that's where I am at the moment.
Awesome. Hi, guys. I'm taking this chance to introduce myself. So now, following your portfolio is kind of hard. You're going to make mine look shallow. But hi, my name is Minaiwo Mwero. I am an alumni of Bitcoin Data Cohort 2. I am a Bitcoin MC, and somebody in the crowd yesterday asked me, Bitcoin MC is actually now a career. And I said, yes, it's officially a career. So all the creators out there, Bitcoin MC is actually a career. We do events with Bitcoin MC, and we are going to be your host for today. We are 2/3 of the hosts that are going to take you through ABC 2024 in Kenya. Karibuni sana. Frank, do you have anything you want to tell these guys?
Yeah, sure. Fascinating thing when you're talking about the Bitcoin MC is that one interesting thing that I've noticed in the industry is you can generally decide whichever role you want to play in any industry. I mean, in any company that you work in. So I also remember, for example, one of the people that we've been learning from in the industry saying that they started off just as a Telegram moderator for one of the startups in the industry. And, you know, very fascinating to see that they've also grown into people who lead education, community building in the industry. So now, I think we are ready to invite someone on stage.
You know what? I think I need to ask this question. Is this a Bitcoin conference or is this what? While we all seated, I need everybody to stand up, walk to somebody, say hi, say your name, and tell them why you're here. This is a conference. We're supposed to network. We're supposed to get to know each other. Hi, how are you? How are you? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Come on, say hi. You're not supposed to be seated. No. This is not how we do in Africa. Walk around. You're supposed to get to know each other. Hi, how you doing? How you doing? Awesome. Yes, let's go. While the music is going on, say hi.
Okay.
Talk to somebody.
Yes.
She's taking it over.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, AK. I needed permission to level this energy up. So now let's have conversations from 11:30. Bitcoiners, hi. Bitcoiners. Good morning, Bitcoiners, hi. Oh my God, guys. Hi. Thank you for those who are listening. Kindly face me. If you know you're having conversation, it will be after this. Hello, Bitcoiners. I need us to play this game. Yes, give me your attention. I need us to play this game. Hi. Nice to be. Hi, can we talk from 11:30? Thank you. Kindly face me. So I need us to do one simple exercise as we start this. Thank you so much, AK. That's why we were looking for AK. We needed permission to get a bit rowdy. If you're seated, kindly stand up. Kindly stand up. Okay, so now, those who are listening, I need us to do a bit of an exercise. You're going to walk, tap, and clap, okay? Are you ready? Guys, hi. If you're listening to me, say hi. Hi. Thank you for those who are listening. We're going to walk, tap, and clap. Is that okay? So this is the 3rd edition. So everything you do it in threes, okay? So when I say walk, you just go 1, 2, 3 to whatever direction you feel like, okay? So if there's someone you haven't gotten to, this might be your chance. So we're taking threes of each. If I say clap, you do what? Clap. Give me claps. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And if I say tap, you look towards someone and you go 1, 2, 3. Are we good? So wherever you're going to land with your walking, you do what? You tap at that place, okay? Are we ready? Are we ready? So we're doing this. We do this. I say walk. You do 1, 2, 3. You walk, okay? When I say clap, you do what? And when I say tap, you do what? You see, you haven't found someone. Okay, so this is pre-run, okay? When I say walk, you do what? 1, 2, 3, to whatever direction. And when I say clap, you do what? And when I say tap, you do what? High five someone. So tap is this, yes, high five someone. So you have to move around so that you can say high five to as many people as possible. So kindly, 1, 2, go. When I say walk, you do what? Let's start walking. 1, 2, 3. Walk to whatever direction. 1, 2, 3. And when I say tap, you do what? Tap. I say tap. Tap. And when I say clap, you do what? Now have you gotten the gist? So when I say walk, you do what? Walk. 1, 2, 3. And when I say clap, you do what? And when I say tap, you do what? Okay, you're smart people. You're smart people. Those who are entering, we are walking, we are tapping, we are clapping. So now, DJ, give me music. Listen to my command, okay? DJ, now, let us all tap. Audio. Yes, let us all clap. Let us all walk. Now, we do it really fast. Walk. 1, 2. Walk, guys. 1, 2. Tap, guys. Tap. Clap, guys. Now go. Walk. Walk, guys. 1, 2, 3. Clap, guys. Tap, guys. Okay, some of you are going to fail in this class. The lady in green might be the only one who understands what we are doing. Okay, walk again. One more time. Walk, guys. 1, 2, 3. Walk. 1, 2, 3. Then now tap. 1, 2, 3. And now clap. Thank you so much. Kindly have your seats. For those who are still outside, kindly come inside. Yes.
Yeah, so to get us started, we're going to have the convener of the Africa Bitcoin Conference on stage.
She is here to welcome us to the 3rd edition of Africa Bitcoin Conference. Kindly help me in welcoming to the stage Farida Bemba Naborema. Guys, we need to appreciate her better. Kindly help me in welcoming Farida. Welcome, Farida.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us in Nairobi, Kenya. It is really an honor to have you all here today. So I'd like to first begin by thanking all the teams, the sponsors, the advisors that help us organize the 3rd edition of the Africa Bitcoin Conference. This gathering for us is not just a celebration of Bitcoin. It is a celebration of the power of community, the power of resilience and innovation. It is a celebration of the African spirit, the spirit that has always found ways to rise even in the face of adversity. I want to take a moment to also thank those who made this possible. To everyone who believed in us, supported our vision, and those who gave us their time, their resources, and their energy to bring this to life. Your contributions remind me of something deeply profound. That change is not built by one person alone. It is built and driven by communities. As we sit here today, surrounded by some of the brightest minds in the Bitcoin space, I want to remind all of you of why we are here. We are here to learn, we are here to share, and most importantly, we are here to build a future that will not only transform lives on the continent, but inspire the world. I often reflect on the question, what can we learn from Satoshi Nakamoto? Satoshi gave us Bitcoin, but more importantly, they gave us vision, a vision of freedom, of fairness, of a system that respects every individual's worth. Satoshi didn't create Bitcoin to make themselves rich or powerful. They created it as a tool for liberation. Bitcoin is a system that says, you matter, your time matters, your labor matters, your life matters. And it isn't that exactly why we are here in Africa. On a continent where your currencies are collapsing, where inflation robs us of our dignity, where people work harder every year to find themselves poorer, Bitcoin offers something radically different. It offers hope. When I first started attending Bitcoin conferences globally, outside of Africa, I noticed something that troubled me deeply. Africans were invisible in those spaces. Our voices weren't seen or heard. Our contributions weren't being recognized. And I began to ask myself why. But the reasons were pretty clear. Our work is often unseen, dismissed, and undervalued. We face discriminatory systems like visa policies that block us from participating on global stages. And we lack resources because traveling on this continent and even beyond is a luxury that many cannot afford. So I made a decision that if we cannot get Africans to attend Bitcoin conferences in the world, we organize the Africa Bitcoin Conference and bring the world to Africa. That is how the Africa Bitcoin Conference came to be. It is not a replica of someone else's vision, but a space that truly belongs to us. This conference isn't just about talking about Bitcoin. It is about creating an environment where Africans can lead, collaborate, and own their narratives. It's about reclaiming our place in a moment that was meant to include us all along. When we announced our first conference, we were approached by global organizers offering to make us a franchisee of their own. The offers were pretty tempting, but we declined because this is not about importing someone else's vision. This is about building something that reflects the realities, challenges, and opportunities of our continent. But here's the thing. Our time is now. Africa is already leading in Bitcoin adoption. From peer-to-peer to trading to remittances, people across the continent are using Bitcoin, not because it's trendy, but because it is necessary. We are not just consumers of this technology, we are innovators, we are builders, we are contributors, and leaders in this space. And this is just the beginning. I want to remind everyone here today that Bitcoin isn't just a currency or a technology. Bitcoin is a statement that we refuse to accept the systems that we've inherited. It is a declaration that we believe in something better, a world where time is valued, where labor is respected, and where humanity is never devalued. I want to share a story that brings this home. Last week I was in Ghana buying from a woman that I've supported for years. And when she gave me the price of the item in cedis, I realized that the price has increased considerably. But then I converted the price to dollars, and I realized that she was actually earning far less. This is what our currency depreciation does. It steals not just your money, but your labor, your time, and your life, because life is finite. It steals our life. So this isn't just happening in Ghana. Across Africa, people are working harder, sacrificing more, yet finding themselves poorer. A teacher earning 100,000 naira in Nigeria 2 years ago is twice poorer today because Nigerian naira has depreciated by over 200%. The same thing applies in Sierra Leone, in Uganda, in Egypt, and many other countries on the continent. Parents can no longer promise their children that education and hard work will lead to a dignified life. Because every year, their labor, their skills, their time, and their lives are devalued by a monetary system that works against them. Bitcoin offers something different. It doesn't just appreciate in price, it appreciates in humanity. It values every person equally. Whether you're a farmer in Togo or a developer in the US, the Bitcoin you earn, hold, or buy is the same for everyone. You do not need to hold the passport of a developed nation because the system does not penalize you as a Bitcoiner. And the most beautiful aspect of it is that it is totally permissionless. It is a system that says your time, your life matters. And this is what Satoshi taught us, to disrupt systems of control that exploits the many for the benefit of the few. To create a world where financial sovereignty is not a privilege, but a right. And to believe in the possibility of freedom and monetary equality. Over the next few days, you will meet some of the most brilliant and visionary people in this space. I encourage you to be generous with your knowledge, but also eager to learn from others. Share your ideas, your experiences, and your insight. And don't be afraid to ask questions or challenge assumptions. This is a space for collaboration, not competition. A space where we lift each other up, where we help those at the bottom climb the ladder of opportunity. Because the truth is, Bitcoin wouldn't exist without generosity. Satoshi gave us Bitcoin, not for personal gain, but for humanity. And so as we celebrate Bitcoin reaching a major milestone, like the $100,000 prize, let us celebrate something far greater, the infinite power of freedom. Let us celebrate the belief that we can build a better world, not just for ourselves, but for the billions of people whose voices have been silenced for so long and who have been marginalized by the existing financial system. This conference is just the beginning. The real work starts when we leave here and we take what we have learned, the knowledge we have acquired, the networks we have built to create change in our communities. So I leave you with this. Be bold and be bullish, but most importantly, be hopeful, because together we can build a future where no one's labor, time, or humanity is devalued ever again. Thank you and welcome to the third edition of the Africa Bitcoin Conference.
Woo! Thank you very much. Now your claps are encouraging. Thank you so much, guys. Kindly help us in appreciating Farida once again. Thank you, guys. I met Farida outside yesterday, and there's a lady in the crowd who said Farida is her reason why. So thank you, Farida, for existing. Thank you for being. A lot of ladies, a lot of people here will say you're the reason why. So thank you so much. We are behind our scheduled time, so I'm going to go very fast and invite the next keynote speaker. Before I do that, if you do not have the schedule, okay? If you don't have the schedule of the whole event, I need you to make sure you have downloaded the SCAD app. Kindly make sure you download it so that you can have the schedule with you, and in case there's any changes, you will be updated. Also, we shall be registering for the workshops because they have limited spaces. We're going to register for the workshops on the same app. The guys working around are going to help you in case you do not know how to go about the app. That said, the next lady, I'm so glad, she is Kenyan. She is here to welcome you guys and tell you about the cultures in Kenya. And she's an amazing lady. I've attended a bit of her shows and a bit of her talks, and I really do enjoy her. She is the COO at Gridless. She's an amazing woman. She is Janet Maingi. Janet Maingi from Gridless. Welcome to the stage.
Good morning. Let's try again. Good morning. East or West, home is best. Karibuni tena nyumbani. Welcome back home. Welcome to the cradle of mankind. So I'm going to take you through a journey of Kenya It's going to be fast and furious because there's a lot to know about Kenya, but I've only been allowed to speak for 10 minutes. So I'll try and compress Kenya 101 in 10 minutes. Some fast facts. Our capital city is Nairobi. Our official language is English, and our national language is Kiswahili. The population is about 56 million people, including me. Joe Nakamoto, I am actually Kenyan, not Malawian. We are the 48th largest country in the world, slightly larger than France, and slightly smaller than Texas. Our currency is Kenya shilling and Bitcoin. Our Independence Day is 12th December 1963. So far, we've had 5 presidents to date. Now, let's start the journey. When you go up north, you'll find a place called Kubifora. This is a place which is one of the world's leading prehistoric sites with the fossils aging back to about 100 million years ago, back to the days of the dinosaurs, and hence the cradle of mankind. So in case you thought you're American, British, Nigerian, Ugandan, you're all Kenyans. And then let's go down to the coast. Apart from our sandy, beautiful white beaches, we also have Fort Jesus. This is a fort that was built by the Portuguese in 1593 and went through 8 takeovers of people who were trying to take control of Kenya. It's still standing strong, so if you have some time, please visit Fort Jesus. And it's also a UNESCO World Site. We also have Lamu. Lamu is an interesting town to visit. It's one of the longest and established towns of the Swahili tradition to date in East Africa. Fun fact, mode of transport is donkeys. There are no roads in Lamu. Beyond that, Kenya has about 50 national reserves and game parks. So we're a perfect safari destination in the world. And it makes it very easy for you to spot the big 5 very effortlessly. So in case you didn't know the big 5, we have the buffalo, the mighty lion, the leopard, the elephant, and the rhinos. We also pride ourselves for the largest mammal migration in the world, the wildebeest migration. So every year you get to see about 1.2 wildebeests walking over 800 kilometers between Kenya and Tanzania looking for their green pastures. Fun fact, Nairobi is the only capital city in the world that has a national park. So if you have some time, please get to visit the national park in Nairobi. Up towards the central, we have Mount Kenya, which is the 2nd highest mountain in Africa, with a peak of about 5,200 meters. And to the west towards Uganda, you will find Lake Victoria. It is the largest freshwater lake in Africa and the 2nd largest freshwater lake in the world. Towards the north, just next to Kubifora, you'll also find Lake Turkana. Lake Turkana is an interesting place to go to. Not only is it the only permanent desert lake in the world, it is also the largest alkaline lake in the world. So you can see the green color, that's what gives it that effect. And then we have the mighty Great Rift Valley that crosses through Kenya, home to the African Great Lakes. So Lake Bogoria, Lake Nakuru, Lake Naivasha, Lake Victoria, Lake Turkana, and Lake Tanganyika in Tanzania, which is the deepest lake in the world. Fun fact, when you go to the Rift Valley, you get to meet 2 of the 6 species of flamingos in the world. Flamingos are not born pink. They're born gray, but they get pink from the nature of the diet that they consume. When it comes to our culture, we officially have 44 tribes, which define the rich history, culture, norms, and values of Kenyans. The Maasais, the Kikuyus, the Kambas, and many others. But interestingly, with technology, we had a new tribe born within the last 10 years called Kenyans on Twitter. They are external warriors for any external attacks. So just for you to get some fun, when you get online, search for the hashtag #SomeoneTellCNN when they referred to Kenya as a hotbed of terror. They officially had to apologize. Then June of 2024, we got a new tribe that was born, Gen Z Kenya. They've become our homeland security. They are fighting. They are fighting every day to ensure that they're keeping our leaders accountable and of corruption and ensuring that Kenyans are getting what they signed up for. Viva Gen Z. Beyond that, the other thing that keeps Kenyans together, we are the land of Nyama Choma and Tusker. If you have not had Nyama Choma in Kenya, you have not visited Kenya, right? So please make sure that hang out with a few Kenyans, get to know the Nyama Choma joints. This is just barbecued goat meat on charcoal, but it's the best thing to have. But a warning, Kenyans, we are known for warm beers in the world. Don't ask me why. So when you order for your beer, please specify a cold beer. Otherwise, a warm one will land on your table. On the global platform, we have left our footprint. We are known as the nation of runners. Whether it's Kipchoge, Kipyegon, Faith Kipyegon, or Manyala, or Chebet, we have really done a good job when it comes to marathons. But please note that not all Kenyans run. So if you notice the name, Kip, Che, gives you the hint of the tribes that are able to run. So the ones who have gone with us for various Bitcoin conferences, you've noticed that Marcel of Bitcoin Dada, Nolin of Machakura don't turn up. We all don't run. There's a specific tribe that can do this, so please stop making the rest of us run. Beyond that, we also have some Kenyans who've left a footprint again on the global platform. Wangari Maathai, she was the first black woman to receive the Nobel Prize. She was an activist and also fighting for our environment. So if you get to take a jog in the morning in Karura Forest, please remember Wangari Maathai was behind that forest. She fought for it viciously. Down to Hollywood, I'm sure you've come across Lupita Nyong'o. Black Panther, she's ours. And also there's Eddie Githegi, X-Men, Twilight, Gone Baby Gone. Eddie is one of us. Then we claim the 44th president of the US. Obama is a child of Kenya. And the rest of you, remember Cradle of Mankind? You're all Kenyans. As you narrow down to the reason we're here today, we look at Bitcoin in Kenya. We have companies that have come up, startups that are ensuring whether it's in education, mining, and other NGOs. So we have the likes of Bitcoin Babies, we have Gridless, woo! AfriBit, Bitcoin Dada, and many others that are really making the difference to ensure that they're pushing for Bitcoin adoption and innovating solutions that are solving for the uniqueness and challenges that you find in Kenya. Thank you, Africa Bitcoiners, for doing this survey for us. And when you move to the, part of the reason why Kenya is really picking up in terms of Bitcoin, we've had a very good foundation when it comes to technology. We all know about M-Pesa that started in 2007, focused on banking the unbanked, and it works on the most simplest phone. Everybody in Kenya literally has M-Pesa. Then, of course, we had other startups that came up in the early 2010. We have the likes of iHub, which is an innovation center, NILAB, which was an incubation center for tech companies, and Ushahidi, which uses crowdsourcing to collect data, especially for crisis management. They've been used for elections in Kenya, in the US, response to earthquakes in Haiti and Nepal. Fun fact, iHub was founded by Eric Hassman, who is a co-founder at Gridless, and is currently being run by Ojoma, you know, from BTrust. Beyond that, Kenya continues to be a huge space when it comes to technology. So these are just examples. Just from the FinTech survey last year, we have about 102 startups that came up in 2023, which makes 15% of the startups in Africa. And Kenya continues to rank third, followed by Nigeria, second, and then South Africa, which is the first. And most of these solutions are solving everyday problems. For example, you'll see iCow is a solution being used for farmers to know when their animals are ready to breed and they're able to reach out to the vets to be able to keep time on that. We have the likes of Turaco, which is really agri-tech insurance. We have Sun Culture that is giving solutions to farmers using solar solutions. And so there's a lot of technology that's making a difference to our everyday livelihoods in Kenya. Kenya continues to be the beacon of innovation in Africa. We are shaping the future of tech in Africa, whether it's the current trends, emerging technologies, including Bitcoin. When you think of the government initiatives such as Konza, the digital literacy program, we have global tech giants that are home in Kenya: Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, among others. So you've just gotten to hear one of the 54 countries in Africa, and you get to see how many Bitcoins companies are running in Africa. This number has really skyrocketed, 67% growth since last year. So whether you go to Ethiopia, where you find QR Labs, South Africa, where you find Bitcoin Ekasi, there's Bitcoin Dua, there's quite a number of countries where you'll find a lot of representation and what's happening in Africa. So I plead to you, for the next 3 days, please get to interact with the rest of Africa. I think we have 40 countries represented in this conference. Get to understand our rich culture, our norms, our values, and what we are doing in our spaces to ensure that Bitcoin adoption is growing. Thank you very much, and we hope that you'll enjoy being in Kenya. Karibuni tena nyumbani, and have a lovely conference for the next 3 days. Asanteni.
Woo! Thank you very much. Well, I know my country is beautiful, but that was really, really well done. Thank you so much, Janet. Guys, one last rule about Kenya. Nairobi specifically, Nairobi is for business, then pleasure, okay? Are we in agreement? Are we in agreement? Do not get them mixed up. Nairobi is for business, and then pleasure. You will need that after this. You will need it. That said, we are honored to have this man come to talk to us about bridging the digital divide, lessons from the internet for Bitcoin regulation. He is a PhD holder in computer science. He's a BA in engineering science, and he is the founder of Ghana.com. Kindly help me in welcoming and appreciating Dr. Nikweno. Kindly appreciate him better, guys. Dear speakers, when you see me stand here as you're speaking, that means your time is up, and I might join you on stage.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks very much for the kind introduction. I'm so very pleased to have a chance to speak to your audience. And I'm also glad that I got some good feedback. And I'm also glad that I have good chance to get feedback from the organizers regarding the content. Anyway, I'm here to continue the discussions we are having on policies, regulations, whatever arrangements regarding Bitcoin and the related technologies. What I'll try to do is to look back a little bit on what was happening regarding the internet, and then try to distill some lessons from there and see how it might apply to the case of Bitcoin. Now, I'll do so by looking at 3 specific areas which I think are regulated. The first, of course, has to do with the financial side, and now, because of policy, we have to narrow things to a specific context, and I'll use the context of Ghana, where I can also afford to be authoritative. So I'll tell you some of the things going on in the regulatory regime, and then also take a look at the power side, because there's a good opportunity for us to make an impact there. And then also the workforce development side is equally important to us. Okay. Now, Bitcoin and internet have something in common, and they appear to be trying to change the norms by doing certain things that governments were normally interested in doing. So I'll try and look at how that separation between the telco, from separating the telco from the state might look similar to separating money from the state. Now what we know is that even though the separation occurs, as in the case of the internet, it eventually ends up consolidating, but differently from what we all might have anticipated. Okay, in the case of Ghana, there was no regulator for internet or telecom. It was all built in one organization, that was the National Telco. The National Telco was the policy maker, was the regulator, and was also the operator at the time. So with the advent of the internet from around 93 to 95, they had to install a regulator whose function was simply to regulate that sector. As we went along, the Pioneer ISP got shut down, and then the market exploded, everybody picking up the PCs, the telcos got involved, and the government also started having their own networks. But the internet infrastructure developed, and now we even had registrars who were responsible for putting names into the registries. Thereafter, we saw consolidation appear, and that is the situation right now. The lesson here is that, you know, you have to maintain the dialogue with policy authority. Okay, we have to maintain the dialogue with policy authority. Why this thing moved on me? Anyway, we have to maintain the dialogue with policy authority. And that dialogue requires that we each stay in our roles. And meaning that the policymaker needs to do his bit, so does the academic side of the fence, and at the same time, okay, so I end up going a little bit ahead. Good, good. Let me go backwards and see if I can. Good. All right, thank you very much. So the whole thing is about participation, it's about engagement, it's about dialogue, talking to people you normally will not talk to, okay? And the policymaker must talk to the engineer, must talk to the, the business people, must talk to the community whose interests must be protected, and all of this must happen at the same time. And it has to be extensive in the sense that if you just do it casually, you will not get the depth that is required. You need, of course, a favorable policy climate, political climate, political environment. But most important, the champions that you are building must be coordinated. If they go isolated, there will be no chance, okay? Now, in the case of Bitcoin, crypto, and so on, there were regulators in place. There was a central bank, economic crimes organization, financial intelligence, so it was all over the place, which means that we couldn't even have a chance to land. Right from day one, there were questions being raised that, who is going to do this? Is it the Securities Exchange Commission, or is it going to be the Bank of Ghana? And at the same time, why are you getting involved? This is not your business. So there was lots of things. That was the big thing. So in roughly 2020, there was a first attempt to push the system, which is one of the things we tried to do, which was to ask for a license, to provide payment services around Bitcoin. Immediately, a regulatory sandbox was created, and that proposal was thrown into the sandbox. Then they followed it up with their own central bank digital currency, ECD, and then they went on to create a gold coin, 1-ounce coins, and then establish a virtual assets service provider task force, which eventually came out with a draft exposure, which is of interest. Now, but before I elaborate on that, looking at the context, African context, I usually like to share this Bitnob thing because it's one indicator of how hard Africa is contributing to the global Bitcoin. The map on the left is where we were in 91 with respect to the internet. And you notice that the purple side, which is supposed to be the full connectivity, meaning the permanently on with the global, we had very little of it on the continent. And if you look at the one on the right of the Bitnodes, it reflects a similar thing, which means we are still catching up, trying to adopt the internet, which means we need to work harder. Okay, even though we've made progress, let's get more nodes out there and let's get more coins into our wallets as well. What's really going on? There's tension, okay, and the tension is natural. So I'm borrowing this from the blockchain governance initiative efforts. The engineers don't have good communication with regulators. We don't have much common language. Okay. At the same time, we are anxious, to beat the technology maturity by going to business. Meanwhile, the businesses we are creating, they don't want to have conflict of any sort with regulator, meaning want to avoid friction. But the speeds at which business works is different from the speed at which the regulator responds. Okay? And all this creates tension because you don't know what to do. At the same time, we are moving towards the consumer, so we must be transparent and quite public in what we do. So this is the basis of the conflicts we are seeing without pointing at somebody saying that someone is not doing the right thing. Okay, in the case of Ghana, around August 2024, they came out with a exposure draft. And there, they attempted to keep the two wells separate, okay? And then try to have some control in the middle as to what each side can do, including using a sandbox. On the left, which is the traditional banks and the payment service providers, they said they cannot hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. But the staff on the right, they are permitted to hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. But organizations, shareholders in the green side can form virtual asset service provider companies. The only distinction is that there should be no money taken from the old organization to establish the new organization. Now, this is big, because for the first time, they are saying some company can keep Bitcoin on their balance sheet. That means you are almost to the point of tax. That's meaning the currency Bitcoin is being recognized in the tax regime. This is what is coming. So even though they may not see it, to me, this is a very positive thing. You are saying that, oh, there's an exception who can keep Bitcoin. Before you said nobody can. But now we've moved to that level. This has implications because it puts a liquidity pressure. In the payment side, you must pay all merchants in the local currency, in this case, cedis. So if a customer wants to pay a merchant, in a sense, the payment service provider facing the merchant and facing the customer must take the Bitcoin and give it to somebody else and get, the local currency to pay the merchant. Now, you don't have to do it on every transaction. You can accumulate it, end of the day, dump it to the virtual asset service provider, okay, and then get your cash. Or he could have given you cash ahead, and then you spend from there, depending on the arrangement. But the main thing is, at the end of the day, the one on the left should not have any Bitcoin on his balance sheet. And this is the way we can make it work. There are these other issues as to fiscal and also monetary challenges. We call them the twin challenges in the Kinchugi study that we had done earlier with Pinda and Co. Here, the point is that normally, central banks, governments are used to taxes. So they fix the tax and they fix it in their currency. Now, where is the tax? The person is holding some euro or something or some other coin. So you're going to need some mechanism by which you will solve that. So you have a fiscal substitution challenge. You also have monetary sovereignty challenges, okay, in that your currency may be in the process of being substituted, depending on how you look at it. The main point here is central banks are very, very concerned about capital transfer and tracking them. okay? And so it will require extensive multi-stakeholder discussion in order for us to get the right balance. It's an issue of surveillance versus innovation or development. Now, on the power side, this is what the architecture looks like. We have independent power producers, all together producing about 4 gigawatts, 61% thermal, and 38 or so hydro. But there's a transmission network that delivers the power to the hydro, to the distribution networks, and there are 2 of them. Now, today the agreements are such that if you don't take the power, you pay. So we want to finagle this regulatory arrangement. So if I can't take the power, I will order you to mine for me, okay? Because it's almost like buying the debt back. So this is what we intend to massage in the policy discussions to come. So here you can either join the power architecture and convince the distributor to obtain the, to allow you to mine for him. Buy in essence his debt. You could of course find an isolated power station and do it yourself. And it's even feasible to do mining at home. There was a time when it was not, which was in 2015. I think price might have been around 500 or so when we were trying. It did not, sustain itself. Now let's look at the very last message I have here. I'm trying to rally policymakers to look at the education quadrant, because the other 2, in a way, are being addressed by us. Okay, meaning we are doing some good work in the community building area, we're documenting our work, and we are engaging and pushing to engage with policymakers and so on. And we have some engineering activity going. So that side, I think we are moving. The harder bit, in my opinion, is in the formal education system. And there, we need to figure out how we're going to strengthen, you might say, the foundational backgrounds that can support the growth that we are pushing. So this is my last slide. My takeaway here is that although we've made some good progress in the workforce development area and in the engineering areas, we have challenges that will require reform of our curriculums. We have not fully finished reforming it for networks and distributed systems. Now you are adding game theory, and you are adding other kinds of issues, especially cryptography, which I am very concerned. If we don't build capacity in there, we might lose the fight in the long run. Okay, with that, I thank you very much for your attention, and I hope this has been useful.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nee. Kindly help me in appreciating him. Thank you so much. Dr. Nee said, let's get coins in our pocket, yeah? On Saturday, Heritage also said, do not wait to stack and wait, okay? Do not wait to stack, you do what? You stack and wait. So, are we doing okay? I have a question. Do you feel like the lights are too bright? Are they too bright? You're good? So by a show of hands, because I know there are people who are a bit sensitive. How many feel that the lights are okay? Wow. I don't think that's the majority. How many feel like we should dim the lights a bit at the front? Okay, that's the minority. Apologies. I'm sorry. Well, if all of you are good, if the light can just be dimmed a bit, but if we're good, then we're good. We need to go on. The next keynote speaker, she is here to talk more on Prospera Africa and Bitcoin. I'm excited about this. Let me give her her flowers. Yeah? She is a serial entrepreneur, inspirational speaker, and a visionary business leader. She is dedicated to reducing racial discrimination, and she is the founder and the CEO of Skin is Skin. Help me in appreciating and welcoming to the stage, Margaret Wade.
morning. Try again. Good morning. Much better. Thank you so much, you guys. So anyway, I have 10 minutes, I guess. You're going to help me with keeping time? Thank you so much. So guys, I just want to tell you quickly about my story, so it takes you to why Bitcoin and why am I talking to you. So I'm Senegalese, and I was born back home, and then my family moved to Germany very early on. My parents were economic migrants, so they had to leave me behind when I was age 2 to migrate to Europe. And they left me behind to be with my grandma. So some 5 years later, when they figured that the immigration journey has worked, they came back for me. And that meant the second time for me being separated from my family. So the first time my parents left me behind, the second time I had to leave my grandma behind. Needless to tell you how traumatizing the whole experience has been for me. But I remember that arriving in Germany, I was around age 7, and I looked around and I'm thinking to myself, wait, how come they have this and we don't? And at that point, what I was primarily speaking of was, how come back home when grandma says, my God, it's time for your shower, it would literally take between 45 minutes to an hour between the moment she made that decision and the moment that water touches my skin. Eventually, but in Germany, I look at my mom who says, my God, time for your shower. Oh, and for those of you here who are not Africans and didn't live under those circumstances, the reason why it took so long is because grandma had to get a stove of coal going. And once it's really going on, she puts a pot of water on it, waits for it to boil. Then we put it into a bucket, mix some cold water, drag it to the shower area, and there at last I could take my shower. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, that's what it is all about. And here in Germany, mom says, my God, it's time for your shower. And I'm like, where is a bucket of hot water? I'm not getting butt naked in this cold weather. She said, come on, you silly, just jump in the shower. Jump in, turn the knobs around, the water's coming down, the temperature I want, the pressure I want, and I'm thinking, this is not real. Okay, so, but it was like that about everything. It was like that about the paved roads compared to the non-paved roads back home. The grocery stores where they had more apples than my little brain could count. It was just amazing. The whole thing was like that. And then my question was, how come they have this and we don't? And it became literally the defining question of my life. Because eventually that question became, how come some countries like mine and so many others in Africa are poor, while others like the US, Australia, New Zealand, all of them are rich? What is going on? And across the journey of trying to find out, I've heard it all. To this day, with a very straight face, you have people looking at you and saying, oh, darling, it's not your fault. It's just the IQ fury. You know the fury according to which us blacks and browns are simply not as smart as others. The low IQ fury. And they say, oh, well, because you're so dumb, that's what, and it shows in the state of your nations. Okay, whatever. I continue. Some people say, oh, it's malnutrition. Others, it's the colonialism. It's they're stealing your natural resources. And then I'm thinking to myself, the problem is, none of these make sense to me. Let's just take, for example, the colonialism, which many people like to use, and I'm sure I'll have some haters in this room, because I'm one of those people who sits out there and says, Africa is not poor today because of colonialism, and I will explain why. So we'll explain that in a second. But on the colonialism thing, I'm thinking to myself, Ethiopia has never been colonized, yet for the longest time, Ethiopia was a poster child for poverty in Africa. Conversely, Botswana, being colonized before, and Botswana has been one of the top performers on the continent forever. Botswana, along with my country, Senegal, are the two only nations in Africa that never had a coup, never had a civil war. So even on the colonialism part, it doesn't add up. And then all of these other reasons that talk about my low IQ, my laziness, the fact that we just fight all the time, makes no sense, because the same people, the minute they cross over to another place, all of a sudden their circumstances change. So I'm thinking to myself now, wow, well, the only variable in this equation is the place. There, you know, at some point, when you connect the dots, I get into the entrepreneurial journey. I was living in Silicon Valley in the heydays of a dot-com boom. So I was starting to see this magic of entrepreneurship, this magic of doing out of nothing. And it was rather amazing. And eventually I built my first company, and then my second, and my third. What all of these companies have in common is I manufacture in Africa consumer brands, and my marketplace is the United States. So we manufacture in Africa, sell in the US. But the first time I did this, you would be shocked at the shock that I had. Because when you were to compare what we would call the doing business environment, it was shocking. I walk you back. This was in 2003, bordering on 2004, when I built my first company. You look back in Senegal, where the sister company was, it took almost 2 years to formally legalize the business. In the US, less than half a day. On one side, you had employment at will. On the other side, the government has to give you approval to hire or fire anybody. And so on and so forth. It was like that about everything. So therefore, what I'm discovering is, and so when I saw that, I thought to myself, oh, I guess it's because we're poor, and that's why everything is so hard. And them, conversely, is because they're rich, that everything is so easy. Just come to think, the minute you say that, you realize to yourself, well, wait, you're poor because you don't have enough money, at least not enough money to take care of your basic needs. You don't have enough money because you don't have access to, because you don't have a source of income. A source of income for most of us is a job. Where do jobs come from? The private sector, the businesses, isn't it? Now, do you really believe that business happens in a vacuum? Do you really believe that? No, it doesn't. Businesses need an enabling business environment. Oh, but wait, you just told me that these African nations of ours are the hardest ones in the world to do business in. What it means is Africa, as a region, has the suckiest business environments in the world. This is the environment in the world where business people are the least free to enterprise. These are the nations that have the least economic freedom. And in this regard, I dare to speak of Africa as a village, because when it comes to this issue, it is sadly a trait that we all share. And then what does it show for? Africa is the poorest region in the world today. So there I had my answer. Why are we poor and others are not? We are poor because we have the worst economic freedom threshold in the world. There you had it. So the minute I understood that, I'm thinking to myself, okay, what do I do? What do I do? What can I do to make the business environments better? At that point, that's when I got started and be involved in the policy work. I really had to work on trying to find how can we lower the barriers of entry for businesses, you know, in African nations. And so that took me into doing policy reforms work. And so we were financing a bunch of free market think tanks around the world, including in the US. And I'm still, in a way, wearing that hat. We still invest in free market think tanks in Africa to work on these issues. But at the same time, I'm looking around, I'm thinking, okay, we got to go faster because, you know, piecemeal legislation takes forever. By the time you're done destroying one regulation and law over here, 10 more have popped up over there. It took the Americans for Elon Musk to talk about this to finally pay attention to the issue of laws and regulations. We have been talking about it for the past 15, 17 years. So here we are, though, doing piecemeal legislation work. And I'm thinking it's all great because we need to do this work. But something major, radical needs to happen. Why? Because while we're doing this piecemeal legislation work, every single year, I have millions and millions and millions of young people coming to an age of work in this continent with no prospect for work. This is a ticking bomb. This is not sustainable. I got to go faster. I got to find a better way. That's when I eventually started to pay more attention to this thing we call the startup cities. Some of you may have heard about it as the charter cities. I call them startup cities. By now, we brand them Prospera cities. So these are next generation special economic zones. So everything you know of special economic zones, this is a whole nother level above. So in these special economic zones, we have our, they have their own law and their own governance when it comes to business. And in these places, I give you an example, why they're so cutting edge next generation. For example, you have choice of law. Some zones have it, but in our case, we are the only ones where you'll have choice of regulatory. Meaning if you're a biotech company, for example, you get to choose which regulatory body you are under. And if you don't find it, we'll custom create one for you. I see her coming, I'm gonna race even more. So anyway, you have all of these elements to these zones. Really, what you've done is you've created one of the most attractive business environments in the world. So at scale, and when we're done with these, you're looking at if these zones were their own countries, they would be ranked on the top 10 rankings of the Doing Business Index rankings in the world. Meaning that you have zones that are way up there with Singapore, Denmark, Hong Kong, and places like that. That's the revolution we're bringing to Africa. Last time I spoke to some of you about this, I was talking to 8 nations. Out of us 8, 4 were interested. Now that I'm talking to you, we've made some progress. I'm speaking to 10 nations, and I'm in very advanced negotiation with 2 countries, One of them is landlocked, one of them is not. And guess what, guys? In these jurisdictions, we're also making it that Bitcoin is the legal tender. So what you're getting to look at is on the continent, you're going to have jurisdictions where you can just focus on your work of being Bitcoiners and building all types of companies and services that are related to Bitcoin without having to worry about the gray area of, what you're doing. And as we're doing this, this is a reason why I'm so bullish when I tell people that in my lifetime, I will see our continent leapfrog from the poverty that it's known for into prosperity. In my lifetime, we're going to become global co-creators. Global co-creators in innovation and prosperity. Because that's what happens when you have the best business environment in the world. You attract prosperity and you attract innovation. The world has no idea what's coming its way. And for those of you in this room who don't know these numbers matter. I will repeat them. By 2050, 1/4 of the world's population will be African. By 2100, it's 1 out of 2 people walking this earth that will be African. Okay? This is our time. We have the tools. Bitcoin is one of the biggest tools in the toolkit. We've got everything we need. So Africa Bitcoiners, follow Prospera Africa. We are your best allies on this journey, and let's go do it. I don't need all 54 nations to agree on this. All I needed is 1, and guess what? I've got 2, and I think if I'm lucky, I might get 3 before we end of 2025. So the time is ours, and I have never been more excited about our future than I am now. So thank you, guys, and with that, go build.
Thank you so much, Wade. Wade has me very late. Do you feel her energy? Do you feel her? Kindly appreciate her one more time. Thank you so much. I feel, as an African, I feel called out and inspired at the same time. So that was a wave of emotions. Thank you so much. And continue doing what you're doing. We are still rushing because of time, and I'm excited to welcome the next speaker. Dear speakers, you're allowed to stand there and present, or you're allowed to be on the stage. There's a microphone there, so you can walk, interact, get into the crowd. 10 minutes is your time. He is here to tell us more about, actually, first, I want to say thank you to the foundation, the person who is coming here to tell us about the Human Rights Foundation's Bitcoin Development Fund. A lot of the organizations in Kenya, a lot of Bitcoin communities have benefited from the funds from this foundation. So thank you so much. Help me in welcoming to the stage. Currently, he is the Director of Financial Freedom at the Human Rights Foundation. Kindly help me in welcoming Mr. CK. Guys, a better welcome for Mr. CK, yes.
What is up, Africa? How we doing? This is my second ever ABC. I'm a little bummed I didn't go to the first one so I could have all 3, but it is an amazing event, and I'm so honored and proud to be on this stage. So I'm going to be talking to you about funding freedom with the Bitcoin Development Fund at the Human Rights Foundation. So who am I? I'm CK, Director of Financial Freedom at the Human Rights Foundation. And I've been with the HRF for a little bit more than a year, and it's been an amazing journey getting to interact with so many incredible builders, educators in the Bitcoin space, especially the ones here located in Africa. So what is our mission? Our mission is to support individual projects that make Bitcoin and related freedom technologies powerful tools for human rights defenders operating in the most challenging political environments. The Bitcoin Development Fund, it was started in 2020. We support Bitcoin development, adoption, and education. We've given over 175 Bitcoin grants that have been distributed since 2020. And we have projects based in over 56 countries. And in 2024, we distributed 80 grants, and we're ramping that up. So this is a cool map that we put together This shows you kind of like a heat map of where we have been distributing grants. So orange is 10 plus grants, pink 8 to 9, blue 4 to 7, light blue 1 to 3. And really proud of all the different projects and countries that we've been able to support across the globe. So why is HRF doing all of this? Why are we giving 175 grants in Bitcoin? Like, what's the connection between freedom and Bitcoin? So my explanation is this idea of the golden billion. So there's 8 billion people on the planet. 1 billion of them, about 12%, live with a internationally convertible currency, property rights, and democracy. 7 billion, close to 90%, live with limited human rights, property rights, and access to international markets. So what does that mean? That means 7 out of 8 people have lower living standards simply based on where they were born. So, I mean, I was born in the United States, but I'm Egyptian. I could have easily been born in Egypt and lived an extremely different lifestyle with very, very different opportunities. So let's tell some stories about people in Africa. So on the left in the pink shirt, that's Peter. I met him in Egypt this past year. He's a tuk-tuk builder. He's an entrepreneur. He has a factory. He has employees. But over the last 18 months, his business has been completely frozen, not because it's his fault, but because his currency is devaluing so fast, and the government in Egypt is locking down exchange of dollars so strictly that he can't import parts. He can't do business internationally even if he wanted to. So he's just sitting there. This is a college student on the left. His name is Vincent. I met him in Malawi. And he's really struggling. He's working really hard every chance he gets, doing tours, helping people out, trying to help his family, trying to make money. But there's simply a lack of jobs. There's a lot of youth, and there's just no opportunity. And that is not helped by the fact that in Malawi, they've experienced multiple 40-plus devaluations over the past 2 years. So these are stories of real people that are being held down. Why? Well, one of the biggest problems is non-convertible devaluing currencies. You know, no matter how hard they try, no matter what they do, no matter how much they invest in their education, they're being held down by this problem. And this is not the only problem, but it's a really big problem. We think Bitcoin fixes this. So what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is internationally convertible currencies. It's fixed supply, so it can't be inflated or intentionally devalued. It's corruption-free, and it has no racial bias and no gender bias. You send and receive a Bitcoin transaction, and as long as you have the private key, you can use Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin Development Fund, we're giving grants to support Bitcoin projects. What kind of Bitcoin projects? Across the entire spectrum. So we support Bitcoin development, so that's core development, that's scaling, that's privacy, that's application layer development, that's UI and UX development, work and research, and mining technology, specifically around mining decentralization and accessibility. We also support the broader range of freedom tech. So that started with Tor, but is actually expanded into eCash and Nostr, which are protocols that we are really excited, and we think that they support Bitcoin and amplify Bitcoin. And Bitcoin adoption initiatives, so education, translation, liquidity, conferences, community spaces. We have supported and are looking to continue to support all of these types of initiatives and projects across the globe. So what are we going to do in 2025? We're going to make more grants to better projects. We're going to better connect with our grantees in order to support them better and to give them resources beyond just financing. And we are going to support the grantees better by connecting them together. So what have we done in Africa? So far, we've given 46 grants to 14 countries. We've supported 2 core developers based out of Africa. We've supported technical Bitcoin education, Lightning infrastructure, translation into 8 key African languages, and support for key events on the continent, just like ABC. And why do I tell you about all of these different initiatives that we're supporting? Is because I actually want to inspire you here in the room to apply. We want to support more African projects, more builders here. So all the builders, all the developers, you do not have to have a existing project that is successful. It can just be an idea. It can be an aspiration. But we want to support those ideas. So stand up, take out your phone, scan that QR code. It's going to take you to our application form and apply. And just because you applied and you may not have gotten a grant or you may not get accepted, that doesn't stop you from applying again, coming up with new ideas and trying. So I really, really want to urge, you need to try to what happened? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I mean, you need to try. And the worst thing that you can do, and I've heard this over and over from potential grantees here on the continent, is have the potential, have the ideas, and not apply. So scan the QR code, check us out, and remember, Bitcoin is a Trojan horse for freedom. So let's bring Bitcoin into Africa. Let's bring Bitcoin across the globe, and let's Trojan horse some freedom into the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, especially for keeping it short and sweet. How many have a Bitnob app? By a show of hands. This side have not been enlightened. Okay, how many have Bitnob? Do you have the app? Again, with a show of hands. Okay. Now, those who have Bitnob apps, kindly, one person, very fast. Frank, grab the mic. I need you to take to one person in the crowd. Tell me what your Bitnob app has told you today morning. Just, you know what I'm talking about. If you have the app, there's an affirmation it gives us every morning. So I want to hear what the love story between you and Bitnob is. What are they to mine today morning is, they said, Wamwero. Mine is Wamwero, life is a good process. So who has a Bitnob app? Who has opened it? Yes. Oi. Kindly tell me what yours says. Those who do not have Bitnob apps, I think you should get into this relationship with this app. What does yours say? I want someone who's opened their app.
Anyone?
Anyone who's opened? Yes. What does yours tell you?
Mine says, life is a fairy tale, live it with wonder and amazement.
Wow, life is a fairy tale, live it with wonder and amazement. And what, sorry? And what? Amazement. Okay, nice. Who else? I know some of you are quite wondering what we're talking about. Hi, Sarah.
It says,
yes,
we feel lucky to have you.
We feel lucky to have you. Yes, we do. We at Africa Bitcoin Conference feel lucky to have you. Who else wants to share their relationship with Bitnob? Yes.
Mine says, life is a dancer, and you are the dance.
Ooh, life is the dance. Oh, you are the dance. Kindly appreciate Bitnob and those guys who have participated in that. Well, I have Blink capes. I have capes from Blink. Please make sure, Frank, we give those 3 participants. That said, the man who is coming to stage, this is the relevance of asking if you have the Bitnob app. The man coming to the stage is here to talk about the impact on financial inclusion in emerging markets. And he is the CEO at Bitnob. Kindly help me, especially those who have a relationship with this app, in appreciating and welcoming to the stage Bernard Parra. Yes. We really like their formations. We love them.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Whoa. Nope. This isn't the correct one. So that's like slide 19. How many minutes do I have? 10 or 15? 10. So that's 15 in African time. So, so I think I have 28 slides I'm not proud of. That's because I think they're super ugly, but they're important. And the reason why I say they're ugly is in high school, my teacher taught me to make my slides and just have 6 words, maybe a sentence in each, and then talk about the rest, yeah? Wow, I have tons of reading here, so. Whoa, is it missing? Oh, is it propagating like a block? Okay, so I'll be talking about stable coins. I think when she spoke about financial inclusion, I think, so the hot debate that we have today, stable coins are hot, right? Sorry? I'm not sure I've used this thing before, so. Who knows Y Combinator here? Whoa, okay. Nice. Who knows A16Z? Is it A16Z? Who has seen their recent request for startups? No one is saying. So, I mean, these institutions, every year they try to, they sort of put out these articles or like requests to say, these are some of the problems that we think are really interesting that need to be solved globally, and we're looking for, people who are building these solutions to come talk to us. Hello, please, can you help me? I have 28 slides to go through, so, but my time has not started counting, so. And
Farah, if I may.
Yes.
We are fixing your slides. Do you mind doing a warm-up with me as we fix them? I'll give you, your time has not yet started. Is that fine?
Okay.
Okay. Kindly, guys at the back, hi. You guys, let us help Farah out over here. I need you all to stand up. Stand up. Thank you. Give me audio at the back. I need a high beat music, okay? So we're going to be a bit Christian. We're going to do head, waist, legs. They're stretching, okay? They're stretching. We're stretching, okay? We want to stretch as we wait for him. Head, waist, and then feet, okay? So this is Jericho. This is Jericho. This is Judah. And this is Jerusalem, okay? Are we at par? Those who are at the core, no, have a Kenya. So this is what? Jericho. This is Judah. And this is Jerusalem. You guys are smart. You're Bitcoiners. Have we gotten this? So what you do is follow. Give me a very high upbeat song so that we can. I tell you, you touch. Where I tell you to touch, you touch. Like, let's do this. Jerusalem. Hey, this side even needs the Bible. Do you need the Bible? Yeah, because I said this is what? This is Jericho. This is Judah. And this is Jerusalem. So what you're doing is stretching your body. So when I say Jericho, on your head, okay? Move your feet a bit, wave your body a bit. Then when I say Judah, you can move to the waist, okay? Africans, if I see someone who's not African doing it better than you, I don't know. There's something wrong. And when I say we go to Jerusalem, this is what? Jerusalem. When I say Jerusalem, you just come down, touch your feet. Is that okay? Are we good? So listen to what I'm saying. Give me an upbeat song, please. Audio. Wow. Okay. They're the same person fixing it. Okay, then let's do a rerun on our own. Okay, 1, 2, go. Are you ready? Let's go this. Let's just do this. Do this. Do this. Now give me Jerusalem. Give me Jericho. Give me Judah. You're good. You guys are good. Now let's do it. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? The music is up. 1, 2, go. Give me Jericho. This is where we go. Give me Judah. And then give me Jerusalem. Now go Judah. Jerusalem. Jericho. Judah. Jerusalem. Judah. I'm going off it now. Are you ready? Now we go. Everybody say your feet, just like this. It's that simple. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Jerusalem, Jericho. Look at you, look at you, look at you, look at you. This front row is all gone. You are gone. One more time, let's go. Left, right, simple. You're not even moving, you're just doing this. We got Jericho, Jerusalem. Look at you, look at you. Don't follow me, listen to my words. You guys are failing. One more time, let's go. Jerusalem, Jericho, Judah. The slides are up. Are we not ready? Are we ready, guys? Congratulations to those who can follow beats.
Okay, thank you.
Now his time starts from now.
Thank you,
Okay,
Pastor.
you're good.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, so I was just talking about the fact that these two really powerful and influential entities, part of their request is for startups building on stablecoins infrastructure. I'm sure a lot of us here have used stablecoins, right? Please, if you haven't used a stablecoin before, just raise your hands. Okay, so you're in the minority. And if you've used stablecoins, and you're based in Africa, I know you've used Tether, right? You've used USDT. But it's different for us. We've been using stablecoins in a way for a really long time, right? This is Nairaland, Nigeria's oldest online forum, launched in March 2005. And then this is, I think this should be the first one, GoldPay Nigeria, that, sort of put up the first currency exchange website in the country then. And what are you seeing there? It's selling e-gold, right? It's selling e-gold. Whoa. Okay. And then this guy comes with his own. If you look at the Wayback Machine, this is 2008. By the way, this guy is he's somewhere in Kaduna State, same place as Abubakar. Still sells Bitcoin, still sells USDT, still sells a lot of digital currencies. So these were some of the ways that people were getting e-currency. And what they were getting was dollar-denominated e-currencies, right? The difference was they were just not on the blockchain. I'll take you through, some things that happened with these e-currencies. I'm sure some of you know about it. Some of you don't know, but it's a lot of learning opportunity. There's prayers included as well, and we'll get it. So, 2007, and the way I've put this is in a chronological order till date. 2007, this is what someone is saying about e-bullion, which is another sort of digital currency, right? Payment processor. They freeze your accounts, same thing. What do you do with e-gold? What were they doing with e-gold in 2006 in places like Nigeria? They were paying for domain hosting and other things. So things like Skype, and I remember when BlackBerry came and all of those things. Who used to go here? Who used to go? Who used Symbian phones? So you know what I'm talking about. So e-bullion is going to crash, like we're saying. And, this guy says, no, you know what? I'm recommending these other guys. Gold Money, Pecunix. Who knows Pecunix? Who knows Liberty Reserve? Seagold, Phoenix Dollar, Alert Pay. So these were like the OGs, right? And this guy is still recommending these other ones. 2009, this guy says, hey, look, guys, what's wrong with Liberty Reserve? I don't want to believe what I'm thinking. The delay in their website maintenance period is getting too long for comfort. What do you think? This is March 3rd, 2009, the very next day in the morning. Thank God, Liberty Reserve came back, right? The website is now back up. And then this guy, 2011, is like, guys, e-gold has folded up. Liberty Reserve is what? It's better. So Then, 2012, I doubt if anyone knows about e-bullion, and this guy saying, look, I joined the very week it was launched and lost money when it folded. September 2012, the parallel market rate again because they were trading it as dollars, right? They were trading as dollars, and it's falling against the naira, and this guy is worried. Why is the exchange rates, the same thing that we talk about today? Why is the naira falling? Why is the shillings falling? Why is the cedi falling? This is an age-old problem, and these guys are faced the same thing. And these guys saying they were cautious holding Liberty Reserve because the site has not been stable in the last few days, which many see as a sign that Liberty Reserve may soon go into extinction as a virtual currency, just like e-gold. Anyone holding Liberty Reserve now may make the wise decision to transfer it to other e-currencies like web money, LatPay, Pecunix, or other forms of currencies. A word is enough for the wise. These guys didn't know about Bitcoin. Then, I think this is the oldest post I've found on a Nigerian forum talking about Bitcoin. They're still officially up. So interestingly, on Nairaland, there's something that we call Law 16. Who knows Nairaland here? Who knows Nairaland? So maybe you know Shewun, the founder. At a point, he placed a ban on talking about Bitcoin on Nairaland, and he wiped a lot of the posts. But this is the oldest I could still find. So this guy posts and says, hey, this is something else. Has anyone on Nairaland tried this P2P digital currency? It sounds very interesting. More info below. And he adds a link and says, because it's decentralized and runs off a mathematical algorithm, it can't be corrupted. And this guy replies him. You can see it's the same. You can look at the date and the time. This is just a 2-hour thing. Sounds cool and safe. Why has it not been popular? Maybe it started just like Facebook, but now it's on Sky News. Let's see what happens. 2 months later, hey, Nairalanders, I've been unable to use my Liberty Reserve since yesterday. Page load, no content. Started to do a lookup, and it looks like, could this be true? He says, so this is quoting a reply. He said, they were simply making heavy transactions without a proper license because money laundering is dangerous for the financial health of society. It's not really a case of such. They even got probation. Don't panic. Our monies are intact, right? Who remembers deploying funds to SAFU, like Luna Terra, right? It's always funds to SAFU. And then this guy says, dude, the same was said about e-gold too. The money never came out till today. A few hours later, 12 hours later, this person says, hey, look, I strongly believe that Liberty Reserve are coming up with something better after they updated their site before. Remember, they had that thing in 2009, right? Because it's under maintenance for now, it has not been shut down and will never. I have much dollars there. Dear Lord, I pray. Right, you've got to sprinkle prayer on it every time. Unfortunately, the prayers were not answered. So, Liberty Reserve, gone. And we have to keep hoping. We're human beings. Let's keep hoping things work out well, because there are many Nigerians who use these e-payments as a source of livelihood, right? And then this guy says, look, all online money brokers are like China products. They don't last. And never keep too much money in them for too long. Even Bitcoin is under serious investigation from the US authorities. I think this was Mt. Gox time, something. Yes, so of course, the Mt. Gox news as well, Bitcoin price dropped, and this guy's characterizing it as a 30% crash. And look what he says. I can only hold the exact amount I would use for transaction and not as a store of value, because once beaten, twice shy. Who remembers e-gold and Liberty Reserve? Right, so we're getting wiser. It will rise up again. Bank of America released a report that Bitcoin could one day be a major means of payment, and the fair price should be, this is funny, right? 1,200. Bitcoin is too expensive. there are cheaper alternatives to Bitcoin. Okay. And then, fast forward 2016. So what then happened was, by the way, law 16 was still in effect. So I'm guessing these are just posts that Sheung forgot to, to take down. So law 15 was really in effect, especially 2014, 2015. And a lot of the activity started moving to apps like, WhatsApp, Telegram, all of that. So it went P2P on the ground. I remember even Facebook groups. Oh, let me go back. Wait, where was I? Okay, so December 19, 2016. This guy says, so Bitcoin, really started becoming popular because of an MLM scheme. MMM, that time, it was really global, the Russian guys. It became really, so people were always asking about Bitcoin, like Bitcoin, how do we use Bitcoin and whatnot. And then it's here to stay. Some people I know going abroad don't even bother to source for dollars anymore. They just get Bitcoin and they're okay. So we're now looking at how these use cases that we're seeing today started developing out of necessity. How much is the Bitcoin right now? Is 788, and I have 1K worth. Bro, this guy's gonna hate himself for sale. I buy Bitcoin because it appreciates like Usain Bolt. So this is another use case that this guy is, sharing. He's saying, I have no reason to sort for British pounds while in the UK. With Bitcoin, you are good to go anywhere in the world. I resold it for a Bitcoin exchanger in the UK and got my cash at hand. I see people trying to sell their own coins. I feel sad selling mine because I know I am truly losing a value. Very correct. If only people knew the importance of getting and growing their Bitcoin account. And then, at the height of the MMM, the Central Bank of Nigeria says, you know what, we're going to have to figure out how to, regulate Bitcoin, regulate cryptocurrencies, legalize them and whatnot. And it became a really trending thread on Neuraland. And this guy says, look, do we even need their approval to begin with? It's like you're saying there should be a health ministry that says, hey, you can now eat. Right, so does it make sense? So, and then of course, you're always going to have the skeptics, right? So you're right, the so-called Bitcoin will also fade someday. Many have come and gone. I still remember Liberty Reserve. Like, bro, comparing Bitcoin and Liberty Reserve is the joke of the century. I was a victim of error. It was centralized, but Bitcoin is decentralized. So this is someone who, lost money, was a victim, and has seen an alternative. So he's in the best position to know that this is actually better than what I've always used before. Fast forward to 2022, I've taken up a lot of really juicy stuff, a lot of really juicy emails and whatnot, just basically building up to this moment. But then it's just getting to, people got to understand this more and kept on using it and said, dude, I understand blockchain very well. It does not mean it can't be taken down. And he says, look, it's not a website, it lives on our computers. How do you take it down when it's not centralized, like the Liberty Reserve and the e-gold you mentioned? And, this guy comes with his own, and there's some truth to it. And says, like, guys, like, it's just not that. America has always killed anyone who invents ways to bypass their fiat currency without currency control, without taxations. They did this to e-gold, now to Liberty Reserve, but I doubt if they will do much against Bitcoin. Costa Rica had to, cooperate and then do this and that, and then they think they can stop the revolution happening in the cyber world. Money laundering by foot. Right. I'm almost done, sorry. They're enjoying the story, right? There's a lot of juicy stuff, yeah? Yeah? So I deserve 5 more minutes. Thank you. I'm going. So yeah, CBTech, I remember November 2013, I had just moved to Ghana 3 months earlier. Liberty Reserve had just collapsed, a few months, May, and all of that. I had friends who lost money and whatnot, and I just moved here, and like, guys, okay, so what's the next thing, right? What's the next thing, And Silk Road was happening, and, Bitcoin was then Mount Gox, everything. So Bitcoin was just there, and I'm like looking at it, okay, they can't stop this one, right? And that was how I got down there. And then this was the website that I first got Bitcoin. I'm actually trying to get a book, so you can't place the order on the website. You see everything. You try to log in. You can't do much. You have to go to his shop, and then there's a logbook where you generate your Bitcoin address from a blockchain wallet, and then you write the whole address on the book, and you pay him for the Bitcoin. You come back maybe 2 or 3 days later when he has the Bitcoin. you show that you own the address and compare it to the one in the logbook, and he transfers your Bitcoin to you, right? So I'm trying to get that book. We need to keep it in a museum somewhere. So this was CB Tech. He's still operating right now and whatnot. And if you look at the price, 0.01 Bitcoin was 3.4 Ghana cedis, and 3.4 Ghana cedis today is maybe $0.33 of a dollar. So we've been here before, right? Perfect Money promised us digital dollars. Liberty Reserve, offered stable value transfers. Everyone brought a better dollar solution, right? But they were all tied to the same system. Perfect Money is still in existence. Web Money is still in existence. Liberty Reserve, of course, is gone. But yeah, the stablecoin boom is happening for good reason. Yeah, we can't deny that they're solving real problems. They're bringing efficiencies to businesses, and they're making transfers easier. But that convenience doesn't mean it's a revolution. It's not a revolution. It's not telling us to abandon. I think Bitcoin is about the optionality that the day you truly need it, you should be able to use it, right? So, and in a place like Africa, then the use is, by the time when you need it, it's really important. And we know what happened in NSAS in Nigeria in 2020. And this is just a simple way to think about it, right? There's nothing there. There's nothing there. But what's there is assigned permissions, right? And that's why we can never forget about Bitcoin. No matter how stablecoins, no matter how popular stablecoins are, no matter what is pushing them today, we can forget Bitcoin. And this is just a simple graph to show you. Look, in time of crisis, economic shift, you see what? Bitcoin just goes, it's free. It's out of the system. But the stablecoins always stay tethered to the system. By the way, our friends from Teta are here. Hey, guys. So, yeah, stablecoins only remain stable as long as the system that's supporting them remains intact. It's designed, Bitcoin, of course, is designed to thrive outside these systems, providing a truly stable and independent option for financial freedom. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Farah. Thank you. You're welcome. It's okay. When we began the conference, I said, the only thing I don't need from you guys is what? African timing. That's the only thing I asked for. Now you understand what I mean by African timing, yeah? Thank you so much, Farah, for a nice presentation. The guys coming to stage, first fireside chat. The lady who is going to moderate this part of the session, she is honestly a sweetheart. And she is here, they are here to talk about empowering communities with freedom technologies. So first, how many have downloaded the app? Scared. You all have it, so you're following the program. How many have? Please give me those blink cards. I see 1, 2, 3. Okay, now your hands are up. Wow. Wow. Yes. So if you haven't downloaded it, we need you to register for the workshops. 2 of them are going to be happening on this floor. The other 2 are going to be happening on first floor. So ensure you register because the spaces are limited. Back to what I was saying. She is the head of marketing and community at Fedi. She likes stickers. If you're on WhatsApp, the stickers, she does love stickers. Kindly help me in welcoming to the stage, Renata Rodriguez.
Good morning, Africa. Hello, everyone. So I'd like to invite the amazing guests that are gonna share this panel with me. First of all, Chef Lopez from Kisau. And we have El Fuego from Refunite. Please sit, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. So, very nice to meet you if you don't know me. As she said, I'm head of marketing community at Farida. For almost, I think, more than 2 years, we've been piloting Farida around the globe, trying to bring empowerment, financial freedom to communities, vulnerable communities around the globe. And today, we want to bring some proof of work. So I had the pleasure to be around the continent, my second home, Africa. And I met this, visiting and working with these communities here. One of them is Kisol. Chef Lopez is going to tell a little bit more about these communities in Togo. We've been working more or less, like a year and a half, something like this.
Almost 2 years.
And one of the things that we've been doing is like building together with these communities. So we go on the ground with my team and we learn from the communities what they actually need and how this can change their lives, right?
Of course.
So maybe you can introduce Kisol to us, introduce yourself, Chef Lopez, a little bit.
All right. My name is Chef Lopez. Chef because I'm a chef. I'm a cook. I'm ABC Operation Manager. I'm a Director of Project of Kisau. And Kisau is agri-tech beginning project that we start with Farida. And it's a project that helps agriculture to use Bitcoin and get some of the stuff they need for the farm. So we designed Kisau in the way that agriculturists who need, for example, fertilizer or seed, and they are in the village. From the village to the cities is about 20, 18, 15 kilometers just to get a fertilizer, for example. So that's when Kisau come to help them with the application of Farida or other application of Bitcoin application that they can use the application. When we as a Kisau, we fund them with money, a micro loan, so they can pay for those fertilizer or the seed. So they don't have to move from the village to the city. With the money in the application, we just can share, everybody can know what's going on. So in the corporation, you have maybe 20 farmers. So each farmer gets some amount of fertilizer they need, that everybody knows that that's what they need for this season. So we send the money to the magazine, the shop, the boutique that will sell the fertilizer. So the boutique get the money without even seeing who they're getting money from. Then they receive all the money all the farmers. And for that operation, we decided one day to get the fertilizer. And then one truck get the fertilizer and go to the farmers and give them the fertilizer without even go to the city no more. At the same time, we're trying to do the same thing while we use the same application to help them with their health. If we can have doctors, we talk with Farida about it. We can have a doctor. If somebody needs because they can't go to the city, they can use that application to have at least advice from a doctor. So that's how we use Kisau to help the community around Togo. Right now, we are working with 5 corporations, which have at least 20 farmers in each corporation to help them get the agriculture emerge in Africa.
That's amazing.
Thank
yes.
you.
And Del Fuego, tell to us a little bit about Refunite, what you guys do, and why you choose to work with Bitcoin as well.
Absolutely. As Renato said, my name is El Fuego Mutaz. I'm the head of Africa at Refunite. Refunite is a tech non-profit. We use technology and innovation to provide humanitarian assistance. We started at the beginning as a family tracing organization. To date, we have become the world's largest database for refugees and missing people, as well as asylum seekers, with over 1.3 million profiles on our database. To date, we have reconnected over 70,000 families. Besides that, we quickly realized that there was a gap in the humanitarian sector. The way humanitarian aid was being distributed across the world, there was a gap in the sense that the solutions were coming from the top down, from the offices of the humanitarian organizations to the beneficiaries. Then we realized that it was important to put beneficiaries and communities right in the middle of the problem-solving equation so that they can decide on their own and select what is the most urgent challenge they have to resolve and how to resolve that. That's how we came up with what we call the Relay Help Project. And with the Relay Help Project, we quickly realized that it was very difficult to transfer funds from the donors up to the beneficiaries. And it is quite expensive. It can take 7 days for a donation to reach a community in a remote area. For example, in April this year, 2024, in the province of Rumonge in Burundi, they had a landslide because of heavy rains, which wiped out 3/4 of the village and leaving 2,500 people homeless overnight. So these people cannot wait for 7 days. Every second, every minute counts. It's a matter of life and death. Bitcoin was a natural choice because of lightning speed and bypassing all the red tapes and borders.
And it was interesting because they started to use Bitcoin, in fact, like for emergencies, right? So they had, for example, a flood in Malawi, and they need to send funds very fast. And then it's when we realized that although they rely on Western Union, MoneyGrams, they also get affected by this, this flood. So they couldn't, although they have the funds to send to help, the funds couldn't get in there. So that was the first time, in fact, that you guys start to use Bitcoin, right?
Absolutely. Using the traditional humanitarian means of transferring funds with various levels. For example, the funds have to, if the funds are coming from the United States, they have to go to another bank account in Denmark, then it has to come through, pass through the SWIFT, pass through different layers, and reach, for example, Uganda, where we are headquartered. And then after that, we need now to distribute the funds to the beneficiaries. These other established organizations and companies, they can be affected by natural catastrophes as well. But when we are using Bitcoin, we have a very fast mean of transportation because they are called emergency responses for a reason. People cannot wait for Monday for the offices to open when their life in peril on a Friday night.
So I want to highlight this because can you tell to us like how many people Refunite supports around the African continent, more or less?
To involve the communities into deciding for themselves and designing solutions that can take them to the next level and truly empower them, we partnered with over 100,000 community leaders. These community leaders are traditional chiefs, women representatives, religious leaders such as pastors, imams, women representatives, youth, and so on and so forth. And these people are literally representing over 150 million people who are disconnected. Now, these people know better their challenges and can design the real and sustainable solutions for themselves than any humanitarian organization in the world.
And that's how I see the power of Bitcoin, right? Like we think about like Bitcoin went to 100,000, amazing, woohoo, Lamborghinis, go to the moon. But it's solving like actually practical needs locally, right? And I would love to come to you, Chef Lopez, to share a little bit like what we've been seeing. So basically how the system works, like every 6 months, they give the funds, the farmers as a cooperative borrow the funds from Kiso, and then after 6 months they need to pay back,
yes,
right? And one thing that Chef Lopez and shared with me that I found super important for us to highlight here is most of these farmers, they don't have IDs, right?
Yes.
It's very difficult on the village to get a birth certificate or something like this. So sometimes we question ourselves, oh, but we need to have KYC for a regulatory aspect. But like in this case, it's a different need. If this guy doesn't have a ID, they cannot join any M-Pesa, they cannot join any type of app, right? So one of the things that we worked together was like, okay, in our case, we allow you not to, you just put a random username and that's it. And by borrowing as a cooperative, we noticed something very important, right, Chef Lopez?
Yes,
could you share with the guys?
Yes, the reason that working in the cooperative is important is that we as a KISA, we don't have any data of people you are borrowing the money to. No birth certificate, no ID, nothing. We just get the head of the cooperative, we meet with the farmers, and we see the needs. When you see the needs, because farmers always work in the cooperative, so the cooperative know everybody's house. So we count on the cooperative bureau to help us collect the money. So for example, if we send the Bitcoin to them and they pay the fertilizer in January, by June, their crops is already done. But they don't pay the money in June. We wait until February to take the money we borrow in January in June. Because whatever they do, they don't sell right away. They have to wait until when it's time to sell, so they can sell it good. Then, after that 6 months, they already spend the money that we give them. So on June, we give them money again, even though we didn't take the older one. We give them another money in Bitcoin, so they can buy stuff again for the farm. Then until the end of the year, everything is ready to be sold. So in February, we get all the money from the cooperative. We don't go to each farmer and ask them, where's our money? The cooperative heads get together the money, and then we just get the money and put it back to the system. So it's next time you think that it's good for you, you want to increase your money, we send you more money so you can go ahead and feed your family and be happy with what you're doing. So that's how we do every year. And with a 1 year experience, we have 90% of the agriculture who pay all their money. 90%.
So 9% return they pay back. So if you think about the rate on banks, right? Like when people borrow from banks, from people that they have no clue there, the rate is like what? Like 20, 30% average. So in this case, because they borrow as a community, they return as 90% because if I don't pay, I'm gonna put my neighbor in trouble too.
Yes.
Right?
So if one person, the way we set it up is one person in the cooperative mess up, he didn't pay, so the whole cooperative is not getting the money the next season. So it puts pressure on them to pay. And the reason that those 10% didn't pay is because in their side, they have a flood. The things didn't work well. And because I go to the village every time, even though they didn't pay, we still help them because we know it's not their fault. I see that they have a flood. Water come too much, so the things didn't work. And we don't take any, because it's a pilot project we are doing, we don't take any interest on them. We just give them the money, and we get back the money we give them. That's it.
What I like the most here is this combination of high tech with humans, right? So you have the two together combined that makes the totally difference, right? Like
Yes.
In the connection in this case.
Of course.
And I think I would love for you, El Fuego, also to give to the audience also about a little bit about the results that we got like from this first round of the pilot. I want just to highlight the amount that Refinite allocated for this, for you guys to understand the impact of this. So they put only, I mean, it's a small amount from average they invest. They're like $16,000. Now pay attention to the results that they found.
As I said, with the relay help, since the communities are the ones implementing these projects, we multiply the impact 10 times. 10 times the impact. Are you aware that with $100 you can build a well in Africa. If you involve the community, they use their own skills, they use their own material. It is literally what we do. So far, for this couple of months that we have worked with Farida, we have been able to implement 34 projects, as you said, with $16,000 only. And these projects have been across 7 countries, including refugees, a total of 11 nationalities. And we partnered with 21 community leaders for this project.
So how many people were like direct or indirect affected by these projects that we implement?
Yes, to be exact, we helped a total of 21,300 beneficiaries.
And this was like what, 4 months?
Yes.
Of projects. So just highlighting this, of the impact of Bitcoin, the impact that we can make with Bitcoin, right? $16,000, 20,000 people that you can reach. 7 countries around the globe.
7 countries.
So they're like refugees that can be ambassadors of Bitcoin back home as well, right? So the potential of this is huge. So I think I'm running out of time here. So I want to just ask you guys, like, one, it's like, what is the next step for your projects? How people can contribute to your projects?
Thank you.
And why you are doing this? I mean, are you a farmer?
No.
Why you want to contribute for this?
Okay, the reason that I'm contributing, we start this is because my dad have big land in the farm, one farm in Togo. So I always go there and give every end of the year when they start school, I give furniture school furniture. In the year, at the end of the year, I do Christmas for them. I help them because I know that they are suffering in the village. I have a chefs that contribute, excuse me, that contribute to give them food in the Christmas days and everything. But I realized that when we go to the village, children in the village love us than their own father. So I be keeping seeing this for a couple of years. I can stay there when they say Chef Lopez. When the dad call them, they don't go. So then I talk to my friends that way. Let's turn this over. Let's help the farmers help their own kids. So we don't have to give money to the kids in the end of the school time, so they can pay their books or the time of Christmas to pay things for them. Their own dad, their own parents can work, help them work and get some money and help them. And we thank Farida and Tara in those two years we are doing, they help us a lot with financial and the Farida application that we use. That help us that we don't spend a lot of money going forward to the village. And then they help us. The application was not ready for us when they started. But working together, whatever we need to develop the app so we can use it fluently, they help us with that. So I will thank you guys for doing that for us.
We thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And the way that our plan is that this thing happening in various villages in Africa. If we can repeat this, it's not the money we are giving away. We are giving, they're paying back, they're still working on it. Sustainable. So if you repeat this with 5 corporations and it's working, we can repeat the same thing another way if we find the funding. Thank you.
Thank you. And Fuego?
The reason why I'm doing this because I believe if you look back to Africa, authentic villages never had fences. You'll see the huts built in circle and a big space in the middle. That's the power of the African community. And that's the power, I believe, and the mission and the vision of our partner, Farida. And that's the spirit Refunite is working with. And that's the reason why I have to find a way to remain in the circle instead of being outside of it and breaking the barriers. So that's what motivates me to be part of doing whatever I'm doing despite my background in engineering. I'm in the humanitarian world and combining Bitcoin and humanitarian. The next step, I would say very quickly, is that we want to invite anyone, engineers, if you're a Bitcoiner, whatever project you have, think about building communities. Build tools that are community-centered. That's what I will leave you with.
Thank you. So if you guys want to know more about these projects and other projects that we've been running, and if you are leaders of communities, we have a space at the Farida Lounge with DJ, we are good on party, but we are good also to build communities and support communities. So thank you so much. Let's make this world free.
Thank you so much for keeping time. This next panel is so ready. They're already here. Kindly welcome to the stage Philip Walton, who is going to introduce his whole team and this next panel. Thank you.
Hello. All right. Good morning, everyone. How many people are excited about Bitcoin mining? All right. So honestly, I love the fact that ABC is in Africa, particularly when it's in my hometown and I get to come very easily. But I love the fact that this conference embraces Bitcoin miners and everything from large miners to small miners. This afternoon at 2 o'clock in the Gridless room, which is on the first floor, we're going to be doing the same intro to Bitcoin mining that we did last year. Last year was standing room only. So if you're interested in how you can add Bitcoin mining, how you can use this not only to monetize stranded energy, but obviously to secure the network, please come join us as Nemo and Sid and Siambola and I will talk about exactly how you do it, how to get started. But before we do that, let me welcome Nemo from QRB Labs in Ethiopia, Sid from Quantum Hash in Zambia, and Siambola from Trojan Mining in Nigeria. So what we wanted to do this morning is just spend a little bit of time telling you some stories about the challenges that we've encountered as we've all embarked on our mining journey here in Africa. And you're going to hear hopefully some entertaining stories. The thing to take away from this is twofold. One, mining is hard anywhere you do it. Mining in Africa is even harder, but it is so much fun to tackle these challenges. And as you're about to hear from my friend Nemo, like when you finally succeed and you get your hash rate online, it is the most rewarding feeling in the world. So with that, if you guys want to do a very quick intro before we jump into the questions.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Siambola Yassa. I'm an aquaculturist, and I'm mining Bitcoin full-time in Nigeria. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Siddhartha Parma. You can call me Sid. I'm a former tenderpreneur and now a Bitcoin miner.
Hi, I'm Nemo at QRB Labs. We started this company in Ethiopia about 3 years ago, and as Philip just said, it took us 3 years, but we finally started mining pretty recently, and happy to be here.
So the other thing to note about the four of us, and we're missing one other, which is Sebastian from Big Block at Virunga National Park, is we are the 5 founding members of GAMA, the Green African Mining Alliance. We have a booth if you want to learn about mining in Africa. If you want help mining in Africa, all of us are super happy to pitch in. So where I wanted to start this morning, and Nemo, I'm glad you have the mic because this is directed at you, is, one of the big challenges that we confront is the regulatory environment. And so what is the biggest red tape challenge that you've had so far in getting started in mining?
That's an easy question. By far, the hardest thing was importing the machines. And we thought, because it's Bitcoin, even though it's mining, Bitcoin, people don't necessarily make the distinction between different aspects. So what we thought initially was that the financial regulators, the National Bank, the Ministry of Finance, and so on, would be concerned about Bitcoin, and then so we had, we're a hosting company infrastructure. We were all ready to explain how mining is not fintech. We're just a technology service, basically operating data centers. So we're like, yeah, don't worry, we're not here to fight the fiat war. Well, we are, but we don't want to tell you that. So that's where we thought the problems would be, but to our surprise, that aspect was actually really cool. Everybody understood. They understood the energy part of it and how stranded energy and Bitcoin go together and how it can be beneficial for the country. All the stuff we had prepared went amazingly well. And then we're like, okay, great, now let's start. And it turns out bringing in the machines, which we did not expect would be a problem, because after all, a miner is just a computer. You have basic CPU, GPU, it's just a computer. So, yeah, we found out the hard way that that's where they get you, when is bringing in the machines and getting permission to bring in these machines.
Sid?
That took us like almost 2 years, actually more than 2 years.
Well, I was joking with Nemo earlier today. I mean, he started as a Bitcoin miner before we did, and unfortunately, he just got his hash rate on now. So it's really been a journey for him. But Sid, what about in Zambia? I mean, what regulatory challenges have you seen in your environment?
So regulatory-wise, guys, we are not facing as many challenges. What we're facing is a God problem. We have a drought and there's less water, so there's no hydro production. So as many of you may know, Zambia is facing one of its biggest power crises ever in its lifetime. But if we go back to the regulatory side, I think it's more about explaining to them and making them understand what we are trying to achieve and how we can benefit their rural hydro sites and how we can bring sustainability to them. So that's just the challenge to get to explain to them. And of course, in any African country, it just takes time and patience. Nemo has got the most patience I know of, 3 years. We've been waiting for a whole year. I know Yasa and them waited more than a year for their signings and their sign-ups with the PPAs and everything. So it's just time. It's a time thing. So you have to gamble the time.
So, Siambola, like from your standpoint, what do you see as the biggest obstacles to expansion and growth of your operation?
Well, from the Nigerian standpoint, Nigeria is quite open to crypto. It has one of the fastest rate of adoption of crypto, and the government also is doing good towards absorbing cryptocurrency. But one of our greatest hurdles is expensive electricity prices and access to good hardware like transformers and access to basic tools we can use to set up our facilities. We have challenges to the extent that we go to so remote areas that we can't even use crane to pick up our transformers and containers. You see people lifting 2 tons of 20-feet container with their bare hands, moving them to site. So those are our major challenges. But for the regulatory aspect, Nigeria is kind of open. Even with the power sector, it's privatized, so it's easy to access. Yeah.
So one of the early inspirations for us building this organization and coming together was, and I'm going to ask you to tell a little bit of the story, Siambola. You know, when Siambola wanted to get into mining, you went on, was it eBay or AliExpress? You got to tell me.
Go on the Chinese app, AliExpress. We had to order the miners. You send like 2,000 USD to someone you don't even know. So after you send it, you'll be like, will this thing arrive or not? So it takes like 2 weeks to get there, but it felt like a year to get to you. So it was crazy. But after we got it, we were so happy. And we got our first A6, S9. We thought we were on top of the world, but 3 weeks later, the machine gave up. So we had to start from scratch. So these are some of the crazy stories we had to go through. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's a perseverance of learning from those, and again, you know, even us as an organization being able to partner with miners around the world, guys like Marshall Long that are here at this event, that have been really beneficial, making sure that we can get good quality machines at a good price, so that we don't spend a year importing something that's just going to turn around and break down because it wasn't very good to begin with. So on that, maybe let's talk a bit about the logistics challenges. I think, from our standpoint, every time we need to move a miner across a border, it is a tremendous amount of effort. I mean, we've shipped some miners to Siambola, and every single time it's a tremendous amount of effort. So maybe, Sid, tell us what's the longest you've had to wait for something that you needed for your operation from a supply chain standpoint?
So we made amateur error last year, and we decided to order some machines from America, which to get from America to Zambia was such a ball ache, because they had to find a ship, and they don't do shipments outside of America that are easy to export, so they had to do all sorts of things. These things came, there were about 60 machines that came, these Watts miners, and they were wrapped in, it was a pallet, and it was just wrapped in this cling film like thing, and there was no boxes, there was no padding, there was no nothing. When it arrived, we almost had a heart attack, me and Andrea, because we're like, what is this? How did they pack machines like this? And we almost had a heart attack that we got duped out of $40,000 or whatever, because the shipping alone was $11K, and it took 2 months to arrive from the States. Whereas we've seen now with China, for example, within 3 to 4 weeks, it can be in Zambia. So it's just knowing where to order from, how to do it. I know you guys got some machines from America, but obviously you had more scale, more volume. You could book a whole container, but we just had one pallet, and that pallet looks scary, guys.
I mean, even for our stuff, it is really difficult to ship from the West to East and Southern Africa. It's much easier to ship from Asia. Nima, what about on your side?
Logistics-wise, I think for us, the air transport, air cargo is really good, actually, in Ethiopia. So Ethiopian Airlines works really, really well, and they bring stuff from all over the world. So for miners, just the physical, I talked about the bureaucracy earlier, which is by far the hardest thing, but like the physical bringing miners by plane is pretty smooth, pretty fast. We had a huge problem with shipping from China for transformers and containers. Took this year, we thought we were planning to have them by May, and we ended up getting them in September. 4 months, and a big part of that is what's going on in the Red Sea. With the Houthis in Yemen decided to blockade the Red Sea because of the situation in Gaza. But actually, Ethiopia is the main victim of that whole thing, even though we have nothing to do with that, because all the traffic from China to Ethiopia comes through Djibouti, and most of it is that's a stop on the way to Europe and the Mediterranean. So 90% of the shipping capacity from China to Ethiopia just went off, was stopped in the last few months. So it was really hard to get ships, and it took 4 extra months. And then we have the additional problem in Ethiopia, where that Ethiopia doesn't have a port, so it lands in Djibouti, which is a different country. And then so you have 2 sets of customs offices and so on, bureaucracy to go through, which adds a few more weeks. So it's actually pretty miraculous that the stuff arrives at all. I'm just like, wow, that's incredible. Didn't get, but that was the biggest challenge, was the Red Sea blockade for us.
So Sid, maybe you kick us off on thinking or explaining some of, I feel sometimes like there are things that if we were in any other environment, they would be cheap and easy for us to get. But then to get them to Africa, we end up paying way too much money. So like maybe give an example of something that you've way overpaid in order to get, it could be a machine, it could be PDUs, whatever's been an obstacle for you.
I think the PDUs, the power distribution units that actually feed into the machines, that was costly. We ended up getting a quote for like 400 euros. Meanwhile, like a cheap, standard Chinese unit, or one that we can manufacture in Zambia, would be like less than $40. So PDUs is one. The other thing is transformers. And we're now lucky enough in Zambia to have a Chinese company that set up its transformer company. So they're manufacturing in Zambia. But transformers, I think, across the board, even with you, and you've faced so many challenges with the transformers, even lately. And the transformer is the main thing. I think that's just super expensive. Even though we're a main copper producer on the continent, we end up paying so much more.
So, yeah, like for us, it was the first mining container that we bought was an externally manufactured mining container. And we ended up paying almost 100% duties on that mining container. And so we instantly realized that it was not feasible for us to import, even though we could get them, even though they existed and they weren't very expensive to buy. By the time we landed it in Kenya, we ended up paying an exorbitant amount of money. And as Sid kind of alluded to, I mean, part of certainly our strategy has been to look at ways that we can build this technology in Africa and therefore minimize our cost of bringing more hash rate online. But Sid brought up both Sid and Nemo brought up the issue of transformers. I want to let Siambola tell his, this is one of the saddest stories. When he posted these pictures, we all cried. So tell us about your new 2 megawatt transformer.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate that most times you can see Marshall Long is yeah, so most times when we try to go to the next stage, we mostly get some hurdles. We're running 500 kilowatt sites, so we try to upgrade to 2 megawatts, but we got supplied with a low quality transformer. Immediately we load it up. We're just running it at 20% load, and it went off. For a 2 megawatt transformer, an average Bitcoin miner, if that transformer dies, it's like your whole world is in shambles, because that's your powerhouse. That is what makes your mining facility run. So the issue of transformers, it's not to be joked with. And with the advantage of Gamma, we could easily get good suppliers and resources to get a good setup. So, thank you.
Let me think about how to ask this. So Nemo, like from a technology standpoint, so shifting a bit towards technology now. I mean, what has been the thing that as you've gotten your hash rate online that just surprised you that it saved your ass?
The good thing, so one nice side effect of being, having all these bureaucratic delays is we had a lot of time to think about while we were waiting to get permission to think about our site design. So it's physics, I guess, more than technology. But the way we oriented our site with taking into account the wind direction. So so we get most of our cooling and airflow for free. It's like the way we've oriented our containers. We have a consistent cold wind coming from one side, and we're just sucking it in. That's beautiful, very efficient and nice. So that, I think, was how well that worked is probably the best positive surprise. But in general, the climate in Ethiopia is really nice for mining, and the wind is really good. The sun and the temperatures are really nice.
We have exceeded our time allotment. Listen, there's a lot more stories we can tell. We have the Gamma booth. You can find us around. If you're interested in pursuing Bitcoin mining, if you think it's too challenging, come find us. Not only are we willing to share our experience, we're willing to come alongside you and support you in any way we can, because ultimately our objective is to see as much hash rate on the African continent, and we will continue to pursue that together until it's achieved. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you want to hear more, they're going to be having a workshop, so you can go listen more. You're welcome. Guys, how we feeling? Hi, how we feeling? How we feeling? It's break time. I'm excited because it's time to snack, okay? So before that, if you know you participated, Bitnob. Those who have Bitnob, I have a cape for you. I had promised that. Kindly, Frank, give them. Those who gave us their codes. For the rest of us, Paul is here to give us instructions of what is happening after this. If you have attended ABC first edition, second edition, we are doing it different this year. So Paul is here to give us an update on what we are doing after this. Also, Media House. If you know you're from any media house, if you know you're from the media team, kindly remain in this room after this. Remain in this room.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing today? How are we doing today? You will know me when I'm on stage, I need that energy. So let's keep the clap going. So it's very simple. We just want to give a few directions as to how the conference will run this afternoon. We've had the first session and we've had the speakers and everything happening. But this is the third time we're doing the ABC, and we know for a fact that apart from coming to hear people speak, many of you are here to connect. Many of you are here to get people's phone numbers, get people's Twitter accounts, exchange contacts, and exchange ideas. So for this afternoon time in the ABC today, we will be merging three things at once. Let me put it that way. So first of all, there are the side events and the workshops happening from now till 3. Side events and workshop happening from now till 3. We have one from Fedi called the Fedi Lounge. If you walk out to where the registration is, to your right-hand side, you will see the Fedi Lounge. If you want to play games, listen to good music, there's a DJ there, by the way, go to the Fedi Lounge. But while the Fedi Lounge is also going on, we have the BitTrust workshop also happening. Once you walk up to the registration point, look straight ahead, you will see the BitTrust signal and their logo. Join them there. Now, if you're interested in joining Gamma or TBD, hit the elevator, go down to the first floor. You will see Gamma and TBD's hall too for their workshop session. While that is happening, lunch is also going on. So if you want to have your lunch too, go to the 4th floor upstairs. There's a restaurant there. Your pass is going to grant you access to the lunch. So however you want to arrange it is perfect. You want to eat first before going to any of these events, fine. You want to go to the events first before you can grab something to eat, fine. Or we just want to say, after all is said and done, we need everybody back here by 3 p.m. so we can close for the day. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon. Another announcement, media. If you know you're part of the media, you registered as a media establishment for the conference, we need you on this side of the stage. The podium side of the stage. Thank you. Media outlets, podium stage. Influencers too. I'm an influencer now.
All media houses, all media teams, come to the front. Do not leave with the rest. The photos can wait. Kindly come. Come to this corner over here. Media houses, media teams, ABC media team, come to this side. Let's make it fast because you're needed in all the other places. So hurry up, come to this side for a brief briefing.